Tekobanin Heavy Haul Rail and Deep Sea Port Project. This project involves the development of new interregional heavy haul railway system linking the core fields of Zimbabwe and Botswana with contractual access to a modern deep water seaport in Mozambique. The project was mooted upon realization that the existing railway line may not adequately accommodate the transportation of Zimbabwe and Botswana's coal exports and fuel imports to and from the seaports in Mozambique. The project is to be sponsored by the governments of the two countries, while private sector participation will be encouraged. A feasibility study on the project is scheduled to start before the end of this year. The Minister of Transport also gave an update on the Kazungula Bridge and the one-stop border post project. It should be recalled that Zimbabwe became part of the Kazungula Bridge and one-stop border post project at the Kasane Summit in 2018. With respect to Zimbabwe, the project entails construction of a new tri-national one-stop border post with an entry terminal and a road diversion access in order to facilitate entry and exit for traffic from Botswana and Zambia. Cabinet approved that a consultant be urgently sought to carry out the feasibility study, look at the designs and the associated modifications. That was the report from the Minister of Transport, Honorable Matiza. On the 2019-2030 priority programs for the Cabinet Committee on Innovation, Science, Technology, Development and Application, Cabinet considered a submission by the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Science and Technology Development, Honorable Professor Mugira, who is also the Chairman of the Cabinet Committee on Innovation, Science, Technology Development and Application on key priority programs to be undertaken during the period from 2019 to 2030. The programs are derived from the Transitional Stabilization Program and are targeted towards the achievement of the goals of Vision 2030 as highlighted below. Under the Energy and Mineral Research Programs, this will focus on the development of sustainable renewable energy sources, research and development of alternative liquid fuels from the abundant local coal resources which Zimbabwe has. Under the Biotechnology and Genomic Technology Program, this one will ensure provision of safe and effective treatment of diseases, screening of newborn babies for inherited diseases, forensic DNA for crime investigation, and justice and national security, and also in agriculture. Then under the Pharmaceutical, Veterinary Medicines and Vaccines Manufacturing Program, the Information Communication Technology Program, which will develop requisite infrastructure for research and development and the usage of virtual and augmented reality technology capabilities, will be one of those programs. Then there is another program, the Geospatial, Aeronautical and Space Science Capability Program, which will facilitate the design and conduct of research and development initiatives in geospatial systems and global systems. Then the National Strategic Institutions Program, which provides for the adoption and adaptation of emerging technologies, will also be one of the programs. Then there's the Science Parks, Innovation Hubs and Industrial Parks Program, which will establish and operationalize innovation hubs and industrial parks in Zimbabwe. Then the Agriculture, Research and Development Program, which aims to develop affordable, smart agriculture solutions for our local communities. And there will be the Critical Infrastructure Research and Development Program, which will focus on development of heritage-based critical national infrastructure solutions for a modernized and industrialized Zimbabwe. There will be the Government and Extensions Program, and this is for the development and management of mechanisms for registering intellectual property. The Emerging Technologies Program, whereby universities, colleges, research institutions and government laboratories will undertake research that which will improve utilization of emerging technologies. And there will be the National Special Infrastructure Data Program, which involves the establishment of a National Special Data Center to coordinate geographic data acquisition and access for purposes of increasing efficiencies in physical planning and digital land use planning. There will be also the e-governance and cybersecurity program to ensure that the transformative power of ICT is harnessed to enable the whole of government to work better and more efficiently. And then there will be the Smart Zimbabwe program, which will pave way for the introduction of an ICT master plan across ministries for an ubiquitous Zimbabwe digital system of smart cities through e-policing, e-health, e-traffic management, e-identity registration, and e-creditworthiness. That was from the professor, Professor Morgira, who is writing. You can see it's all coming from the professor. And last but not least, Cabinet has received an update on the fuel and energy supply situation. Cabinet received a status report by the Minister of Energy and Power Development on the country's fuel and energy supply situation. The report showed that the fuel supply situation remained fairly stable. Concern was, however, expressed over the long duration of electricity power supply load shedding schedules, which was hitting both domestic and business consumers. Government has stepped up efforts to service its power imports debt arrears so as to ensure continued power supplies. So money will be paid to make sure that we improve the power supplies. As part of demand-side management measures, government ministries and government agencies should install meters to help them to closely monitor their power usage. All local authorities and other consumers are called upon to settle their bills with ZESA so as to improve the power utilities viability. Government is also engaging stakeholders in the liquefied gas subsector with a view to ensuring smooth supply of the product at affordable prices. I want to thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for such a well-articulated presentation. It's time now for the full house to come up with questions, 4 in one round. Your name, the establishment you represent, and then your question. If we could, as you know, our panel, we have got a panel of 2 at the moment, so it will be very helpful if we restrict our questions to what has been presented today and what was discussed in Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Leopold and I'm from newzimbabwe.com. The Honorable Minister spoke of how government is trying to service its debt, and also that it is calling on its arms to settle bills with ZESA. If maybe she could tell us how much we owe as a country to the ones who run to teenage credit now, and also how much the government arms have to pay ZESA, if she has those details. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leo. Next, please.
Yes, my name is Kosa. My name is Costa from newszimbabwe.com. My question is related to my colleague. What I want to seek to understand is how much is owed and to who, and then what percentage effect is this have on power supply?
Okay, thank you, Costa. 2 from New Zimbabwe. Any other media house, please? Yes, Taku.
Thank you, Taku Chiambake from Zimpapers TV. If I got it right, it was quite a mouthful on the professor's side. Human capital development. You highlighted that on the cultural and creative sector, you want to come up with structures that encourage entrepreneurship. But the question is, are they not already doing that? They actually are seeking support from government. That's why they've been calling on for the establishment of a culture fund, where the government supports the arts sector as opposed to getting donor funds from outside sources to support the arts sector. So I'm seeing it from a perspective where we already have our arts practitioners operating as entrepreneurs because they don't have that support structure. So I just need you to clarify there. Thank you.
Taku, a mouthful question to an equally mouthful presentation. Let's have the last one in this round, please. The presentation about the professor's report has confused us. We cannot even come up with a question, is it? Last one?
Yes. You. SABC. That's what SABC.
Not ENC. My name is Madai from ENC.
Let's see.
The minister didn't touch on this issue, but it's currently happening. As the government spokesperson, the health workers are on strike. What's your take on that? What is the government doing?
We can speak to this issue after this post-cabinet briefing. The government does not mind answering all questions pertaining to current events, but particularly on this particular press conference, it's about post-cabinet briefing, things that were discussed in cabinet. But like we said, we are happy to talk to you after. Thank you.
My name is Tendai Gamugira from Daily News. We understand that many of the ministers are the ones who are owing to ZESA. If the reports that we get every day in newspapers are anything to go by. So has that been noted in the cabinet?
Thank you. We will hand over to the Honorable Chair to steer the conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think the issue of bills, thank you very much. The issue of bills is normally most of the questions that are generated by the presentation by the Minister, Advocate Chasi, Honorable Chasi, who will be coming very soon. But what I can tell you is from what he presented, in terms of what government is owing to ZESA, there's about 20 million, and that 20 million, the Minister of Finance is actually said that 20 million will be paid, which is what is owed by government to ZESA. And as what is owed to ESCOM, I do not have the total figure, but the figure which was talked about, which needs to be paid within a certain period of time to make sure that we continuously get service, is about 10 million. That is as far as I can give you in terms of the information which I have. But Honorable Chasi will be here, and I'm sure he'll be happy to give you the total list of who owes who, and there's also the local governments which are owing ZESA. I think that figure again he has got it. So in terms, and then the next question was the first and second was almost the same question. It was who owes who, and then the third question Taku wanted to try and understand the professor's presentation. And he's talking about, he specifically touched on the cultural and heritage sector. And he said these arts practitioners actually need support. What is that you're going to do?
Thank you very much, Taku. I just want to start by saying that Zimbabwe is a very high literacy rate, 94%, but our skills levels are 30%. Which means we have a deficit of 62%. So basically what I'm saying is that Yes, we have people, but there were no systems. So we're just putting systems into place so that we can achieve what we need to achieve with able people and able systems. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Professor Mugira. That is for Takucha Mbakwe. Are you happy?
Is delivery?
You want another bite on it?
Yeah, I'll do follow up.
Oh, fine. Okay. Okay. And then the person from ENCA is rightly said by the Permanent Secretary in this particular press conference. Only take what has been discussed, and I think it wasn't part of her feedback. And then Tendai Kamungira, it was again the issue of the bills. I'm sure the Minister of Energy and Power Development, Honorable Chasi, will be here, and if he has got the list of who owes who, you'll be able to give that to you. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yeah, you got your tibula. Next time you ask questions that will not confuse even us. Can we have some ladies in the second round? I don't think we got a lady in the first round. We got ladies sitting somewhere. Can we have a lady take a bite at the cherry? If not, second round. Somebody who hasn't spoken before, Costa, I recognize you, but hold on a second, please. For somebody else who hasn't spoken. Okay, Costa.
Yeah, I just want to go back to Professor. Probably I might have missed some technical terminologies there. But yesterday I understand that the Zimbabwe Representative Council students appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Higher Tertiary Education. And one of the fundamental questions which was raised was that higher and tertiary institutions are using old curriculums which are out of touch with reality. Should I understand maybe from you, is this part of the problem which is contributing to this 38% and 62% in terms of skills on human capital, and what are you doing about it?
Okay, thank you, Costa. Whilst the question is probably out of the frame, it's related. Okay. They had already agreed that they would address it anyway, regardless. Can we have another one? That's the first one from Costa, newszimbabwe.com. Okay, this is going to be Belinda.
Good afternoon, my name is Belinda from St. Papers Television Network. I wanted to double check on the payments by local authorities to settle their bills to the Zimbabwe Electricity and Transmission Distribution Company. Do we have a deadline by which these bills are going to be paid? Because obviously we have no power now, and the company needs its money now. Is there any indication from the Ministry of Finance by what date those bills are going to be settled?
Thank you, Belinda. Next one. 2 more to go. Taku.
Yeah, I think I'm still not convinced with the professor's response.
Because I'm here the fourth question, and ladies. Okay, new person.
Rangel from Bloomberg. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I just want to find out when the timeline is for the payment of the debt that you spoke about to ESCOM. Hopefully I saw the Minister walking in, perhaps that is something that you'd be willing to just tackle in terms of the timeline of making the payment that you highlighted. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. I think that's our fourth question, and I'll hand you over back to the Honorable Chair.
Yes. Thank you very much, PMSEC. I just want to welcome the arrival of our Honorable Minister, Advocate Chasi, Minister of Energy and Power Development. Minister, after giving a presentation of your brief, there has been a few questions which have been raised. I just would like to summarize a few of those. There was Leopold News, Zimbabwe.com, who was actually asking about how much is owed, who owes what, in terms of the subject, in terms of local influence. And then the other question was also from Tendai Kamungira, who had asked a question on the year that most of the bills are, I hope I'm still putting it right, that did you say ministers or high officials in government? What did you say?
Yeah, ministers and government officials.
I don't know, that's what he says, or whatever he says. Yeah. Then there is another question which you may want to tackle before I bring in the professor, which has just come through the second round. We talked about the 20 million which is owed by Governor Zesa, and that the Minister of Finance is taking it upon himself to make sure that that is paid. And also that there is that 10 million which has to be paid to ESCOM, and you can speak about more information to that. So they want to know, there's now a question which is asking, when will that payment be done? That is coming from Belinda's in papers. Because it says if local council pays and government pays, then we can have more electricity. That's what people want. The load shedding is painful. And then Bloomberg also actually was also asking the same question. We would like to know if there's a timeline for making that payment of those days. So these are the questions which we want to tackle.
Well, thank you very much, Minister. And apologies to all of you that I was not able to come on time. But I'm sure you understand the exigencies of our situation. I was engaged in some issues related to energy. But let me start with Leopold and say that we need to deal with the issue of debts. Local debts, foreign debts. What do I mean by this? ZESA, in spite of the numerous demands and complaints that we make as users of power, are owed 1.2 billion by local consumers. Now, I think the minister has already indicated to me that I engaged the Minister of Finance with the result that today he indicated to Cabinet that 20 billion is going to be paid to ZESA. It's a significant amount of money, but in the scheme of things,
Sorry.
in the scheme of things, it's still a drop in the ocean. So what are government's intentions around that payment? I would like a very clear plan as to how it's going to be used. Just for argument's sake, I wouldn't want that money to go towards buying executive cars. I would like the money to go towards dealing with the issues that are of immense public concern at the moment, which means power issues. Must have a direct bearing on power issues. So, government departments are going to be covered with local authorities that owe about 350 million to ZESA. It is necessary that that money be paid. I think the generality of the public owes something in the region of another 350, 400. That includes you and me. That includes people in Zambia and in MTC. Okay? So the issue that we've got at hand doesn't need us to engage in political banter. But if push comes to shove, and people want to know who owes what, I'm sure some of you might appear on the list, but I don't know which parties you belong to. So the bottom line is, when you consume a service, you must pay. And as a country, we should never allow ourselves to get to this situation. This has got nothing to do with who you are. It's very simple. ZESA is a business, a very critical business. And so when you consume power, you simply must pay. So that's what we're going to be doing, but also addressing other things. We would like to stop the bleeding that is occurred or is occurring in ZESA. And there are a number of things that we must address. Our own consumption of power is going to be dealt with. That's why I'm insisting that government, the Minister of Finance, as he has done, needs to ensure that his departments pay. But we also need other measures. We can't have buildings that are on 24 hours every day. Doesn't matter whether they are commercial buildings, private residences, or government entities. So our consumption patterns need to change in sync with our situation. In fact, permanently, we simply have to be responsible as citizens in the way that we consume power. At the Ministry of Energy, this week we are installing a meter. I have spoken to ZESA and I have said they have an interest in saving power, so they also need to go solar at megawatt. So, honorable ministers are coming to your offices to install meters so that we manage our own consumption. If we don't do that, particularly in the face of a suboptimal tariff, we'll be destroying ZESA and destroying ourselves in the same way. So it's very, very critical that we sort out.
Squared, yes. I know it already exists, but let me make my own will, and I call it Zim will. Those other ones might call it a dumb will, or whatever will that is. But what we are basically saying is that make things, whether they've been made before or not, if you need them. And never drop your ambition as a country because you seem to be on a bad patch when you are on your way to the mountaintop. That's what I'm trying to say. So, I know it's easy to start complaining, oh, things are difficult. Yes, but you don't, we always say that we don't solve things by despair and desperation. We solve them by planning and doing so consistently, which basically means determination to finish, but you must start. So that's how I would answer questions such as, you know, Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley was started by Stanford University. Starting from 1891, the United States made a decision that they are going to do their industrialization through their universities, and they started Stanford University. But Silicon Valley came later. When they started, it looked like it was a joke. But I always say, normally, don't spend your time on the negative, because by the time you wake up, you will just see dust, people will be gone. So join the party. So that's what we are trying to talk about, to say it will be well. You know, when you might not be having much money, just like me, Kaputwa, but when the money comes to you at 55, you will forget all your troubles at 40, you will forget all your troubles at 50. It would look like life was always like that. That's because today is because of yesterday, and tomorrow is because of what we do today. So that's how I would take, because I really like, they always say, no, it's not about knowledge, it's about imagination. Because once there is imagination, it means you'll do something. If you look in front of you, you don't like what you see. You look at the back, you don't like what you see. Chart a new path. So we are saying Zimbabwe, chart a new path of programs. Don't do Dibula anymore. So that's what the Second Republic is talking about. And we'll be talking about things that initially you will laugh. I remember a tweet on 27 December when I was just getting into government. I didn't know that you can be shouted at without doing anything. Without doing even anything, people were just shouting at you. Somebody say, this guy doesn't look like he's intelligent to me. So I looked at that and I was laughing. And that time I was talking about, we'll do innovation hubs. And they said, now go, you will see innovation hubs. They are there. And something like that. So what I'm saying basically is that when you don't like what you see, do new things. So they are the new things that we are doing. So the arts industry is going to grow based on this program. On the other hand, about the curriculum, I agree that we need to work on our curriculum. In December 2017, when we started in the ministry, the president, his first talk was about why is our education not producing any goods and services? And then, sure, it's not producing any goods and services. What's wrong with it? It's in the design. Our education, normally, it was consisting of teaching, research, and workshops. That's why everybody was being dismissed as academic. Teaching, research, and workshops, or community engagement. And then from here, with these three missions, and remember, these three missions are budget items, Costa. It means government is to give money for teaching, government is to give money for research, and government is to give me money to go and attend workshops. And then, our education must naturally result in industry. From these three, do you see any industry coming? I don't see any. So the design was such that it was not possible to do so. But people always say, why now? Why did you not do it in 1980? Why did you not do it in 1985? There is no wrong time to do the right thing. You always do the right thing when you see it. There's no wrong time to do the right thing. So I want to dispel that question on why was it not done before? No, it's done now, and it's okay. Now, what we are saying is that from these three missions, we are adding innovation and industrialization to say that every program in the university, every program in the polytechnic, every program in any training institution must promise us what skills they are going to give, what knowledge that they are going to give, at the end of the day, which industry they are going to produce. Because industry does not fall from the sky. People have always been saying industry likes this, industry, and I've asked them, where did the industry come from? Does it fall from the sky? Industry is produced from the head, and it's produced by universities. So we are turning our focus and philosophy, our syllabus, so that people recognize that they should not cry for jobs. We are actually expecting jobs from our graduates, not otherwise. So we support existing industry, we have to grow new industry. This is the new philosophy, what we call Education 5.0. Education 5.0 means teaching, research, community engagement, innovation and industrialization, whereby Zimbabwe is going to drive its industrialization from innovations. Of course, we are also going to do our industrialization through investment. There are two ways, which is investment plus innovation. So this one which we are talking about, re-looking at the syllabus, is so that we can now do innovation, intellectual property protection for industrialization. So I agree, the syllabus has not been well. It was colonial design, because in the colonial design you didn't need to do anything like thinking about how a bolt is made, but how a bolt is screwed. That was the issue. And I cannot blame it, because it was the design. It was designed like that. So we have to design a new system that is a new ambitious system for us to get out of this iron cage where 17 million people are looking for a job from who? I mean, let's go to fundamental question. I agree with Advocate Chasi when he said, please, let's not be superficial. Let's go deep. Let's go deep and ask ourselves. You say you want to go and work for a job, to do a job at an industry developed by who? So what are your universities for? Because all what I've talked to you that Silicon Valley was produced by Stanford University. It was produced by Stanford University. MIT, you know, MIT, it spun off since it was started, 4,000 companies. And those companies are earning something like $103 billion annually. So let's not skate the problem. The problem is we design our systems. Hatingaiti dare rokuti vanhu vanofana kugadzira mapfumo but kana vabva imo mudare vakuda kutenga pfumo racho. No, you must be able to make things. Engineering must be able to produce engines. Media must be able to produce media productions. So that's what we are saying. And there's nothing too late. I said, think like your ancestor, think like yourself, but also think like the unborn, so that they don't laugh at you for having not designed the education that produces goods and services. So, completely agreed with the students, what they were talking about, but what we are saying, we are doing something about it. So we are now at Education 5.0. But we have also done what we call the Zimbabwe National Qualifications Framework, whereby we say every degree, every certificate, every diploma must promise us what skills they are going to give and what bodies of knowledge that they are going to give. And we are saying, if there's an engineering degree at the University of Zimbabwe, and the engineering degree, for example, civil engineering at the University of Zimbabwe and Chinhoyi, they must have minimum overlap of 70 to 80%, so that civil engineering becomes civil engineering. Not to say civil engineering from the University of Zimbabwe, civil engineering from Chinhoyi. Civil engineering must be civil engineering. So we call it horizontal comparability of qualifications, as well as vertical integration of our education, whereby we say a person who is coming from Poly can enter university, and the university must recognize that they were at poly, not at A level. So there's a lot which we are doing based on this. So statutory instrument 132, statutory instrument 133, statutory instrument 137 of 2018 makes it compulsory for every certificate, for every diploma, to have minimum bodies of knowledge, minimum bodies of skill. And all our examination bodies like HEXCO, like ZIMSEC, especially ZIMCHE, is looking at it right now, and we expect all institutions to have complied between August this year and February next year. All programs that don't promise us what they are going to do in terms of skills and in terms of bodies of knowledge are going to dissolve themselves automatically. So we are really serious about it, and I agree with the students. I thank you.
Wow. That's a mouthful. I hear the professor, and I think, Taku, let's remain ambitious. That's what the professor is saying, even when we seem to be on a bad patch. And there's no wrong time for doing the right thing. And I think it's high time our institutions should brag about churning out thousands of students who have got information, education, which can be turned into a service or a good. I think on that note, thank you. We've done the second. Unless we just want to have a second bite on what, one more round. I can see the separate hands. That's all right. We'll allow that. We'll allow that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It appears like we have got 3 ministers, so it appears like we have a full cabinet today. They are talking and they are lecturing. Yes. Your name and media house or institution you work for?
My name is Perfect Shomani. My question is for the Minister of Energy. Your submissions, Minister, really speak to responsible usage and consumption of electricity. You also seem to be indicating that you're taking a path where you are going to be cleaning what's happening at ZESA, for instance. And but what remains is that the debt continues as you are starting on a fresh page. The first question will be, what have you put in place as measures to make sure that we don't arrive at where we are right now in terms of debt, in terms of even our generation of power? I know you spoke about the water levels at Kariba, and we depend so much on hydro. Are you again spoke about the bleeding that's taking place at ZESA? You care to appraise us on how much is the parastatal losing probably at a given time, in a month, in a year? How much is ZESA losing? And lastly, you spoke about installing solars. Is that the direction that this government is taking in terms of making sure that we solve the problem of power? Thank you.
Thank you, Perfect. You just didn't say which organization you work for, but I'm sure you will apprise us at some point.
The ZFM Stereo.
Oh, ZFM Stereo. Thank you. Let's, Costa, hold on. Let's have somebody else different.
Farai Machunga from the I just wanted to find out on the local debt, is it configured in RTGS dollars or it's US dollars? And also the 20 million that you talked about, the Minister of Finance is going to pay, is it also in RTGS dollars or it's in US dollars?
Thank you, Farai. You spoke once. Somebody hasn't asked a question before? Huh? Oh, you haven't? Okay.
I'm Philemon Mplana from Business Times. 3 questions for Honorable. Just. The first one, may you break down the $83 million owed to ESCOM and HCB of Mozambique. That's number one. Number two, Zambia, the government of Zambia has been pressing for 115 million plus the principal amount plus the compound interest for assets shared between Zimbabwe and Zambia for the now defunct couple. The one company which was succeeded by the ZRA. Okay, what have you done to that? Okay, because Zambia has been threatening, was saying that this is an impact on the construction of the Batoka hydroelectrical project. Question number 3. You mentioned that Kariba, water levels at Kariba is now at 29%. Okay, can you put us into picture in terms of the level of the live water and the dead water? Those are the questions.
Thank you, Philmon. And somebody else different, not Costa, for now. If there is nobody, then we'll go for Costa, but we've got 3 questions. Okay.
More than 7 questions.
Yeah, you know. I'm guided by the chair who was this. Okay, so Costa, you've been given another bite at the cherry.
Thank you for the opportunity again. I asked this question, but unfortunately I didn't get the response, so this is why I'm insisting. So I wanted to understand, in terms of clearing areas related to power supply, what percentage effect does this have on power supply? The percentage effect.
All right. All right, thank you very much. I can see it's a house full, and it's only fair to give them a third round. It was only fair. Perfect one, ZFM. Again, it's directed to you, Minister Chasi. He wants to, if I can just summarize, it was a lot of questions. He says your submission, you just didn't talk about the supply side, but the management side. What have you put in place to make sure that this will then not require care in the future? And we also wanted to know the bidding at ZESA. Are you able to tell us, appraise us, how much ZESA is losing maybe per month, maybe per year? And then we also wanted to know about installing meters. What are the benefits? Yes. Then there's Farai. It's all to you, Minister Chesi. Farai Machenyika from Zim Papers. He just wanted to know the local debt. Is it in RTGS or in US dollars? And then Business Times, several questions there. He wanted to know the breakdown of that 83 million. If you can give that, I don't know. I don't think that's something which he carries around with him all the time. And also he asked something else which had not come up about Zambia pressing 150 million for assets, which are shared between the 2 countries. What is the impact of the Batoka project? That's what he wanted to know. And then he also wanted to know the water levels in Kariba. Can you tell us what are the live level and the live water and dead water? Costa, again, was to you, just what is the clearing of that percentage, the effect of that percentage which you want to get? You can go.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much. Before I forget, let me mention that this week I'll be meeting stakeholders in the gas industry to engage them on the pricing of gas and also a number of issues pertaining to proper conduct in that area, which is causing a lot of inconvenience to the public. Today, Parliament also requested that I issue a ministerial statement on load shedding. That's just for information. Perfect. What have you put in place Now, I said that if there's anything that should unite us at this moment in time, it's power. It's not a one-man show. It's for all of us. For example, I can come to your house and switch off your switches. Right? I can't make water to put into Kariba. But as minister, what I can do is to come up with a plan to deal with the deficits that we've got in power, so that we avoid load shedding in the future. So that we can also sell power to those in our neighborhoods who may, for a variety of reasons, not have sufficient power. So what we need to do, we need to invite investors. We need to create a congenial environment that is attractive to investors to come and develop other sources of power. They could also be hydro, but located in other areas. And we need a good mix of sources of power. So we need wind, we need gas, we need solar. The renewables are good. They've got a lot of international support, and I believe that there is the opportunities for us to access assistance and investment from other areas. I only came back yesterday from Portugal, where there was the Africa Energy Forum. There is vast interest in our country by investors. They are yearning to come. Zimbabwe is open for business, I told them. But there are things that we must do, all of us. We must focus on matters of the economy so that we reduce the levels of political risk that are perceived outside. I can't do that alone. It's for all of us to do it. We must pay our debts, like I said, responsibly. Pay our taxes, pay our debts. So we want to move very strongly in the line of meters. So that if you just, we all, I think, have airtime and bundles and all that. But we don't give the same seriousness to ZESA. And we need to move to that level and come out of this. So that is, so at some point in the near future, we'll come up with a plan regarding the various sources of power and the projects that are in the pipeline. But like I said, there's no quick fix here. There is no quick fix to say tomorrow. If we pay ESCOM and HCB, it enables us to access significantly higher. We're getting about 50 megawatts from ESCOM at the moment. If we pay, we'll be able to unlock something in the region of 400. But when you don't pay, you don't expect people to keep on giving you. We are not their children. Right? Neither are we children of ZESA. ZESA is our child. We must feed it with the money, the value of the power that we use. If the tariff is suboptimal, it's 0 point something, and we are all happy. Where do we think the money to make power will come from? We all must make the necessary noises to ensure that that entity is viable. If we go there and do deals with our friends, and the public loses money, and we say, who in a matenda, and we say, ZESA and so forth, we're killing that entity. And this is exactly why we're here. And it's a responsibility for everyone. It doesn't matter how loudly or often I'm shouted at, I can't make magetsi. Angikwanisi ukulungisa magetsi mina. Kumele sisebenze sonke ndawonye. Tese pamwe chete. We need to sort this out, because if we don't, we'll shut ourselves down. And to try and restart the formula will be extremely difficult. Bleeding, I can't really give you figures. But it's obvious. If somebody is consuming and not paying, that open-ended approach simply is going to come to an end. Whether it's a government department, commercial enterprise, it's not one. That's why I emphasize the point that we need to go deliberately on metering. Local authorities must pay. The public must pay. Everybody must pay. Solar, way to go, definitely. And other renewables. The plan is to say that we need to disengage significant portions of consumers, particularly the big ones. So, for example, if we've got solar on our roof, during the day when the sun is there, we can use solar. And we can even store the power for a number of hours after. And that will help us to bring down the load shedding. So we want to encourage, by the way, commerce and industry also hold significant amounts of money. I will be making those figures available because I believe that information is power. So that we don't stop talking politics. In fact, almost every sector in this country has a responsibility with regards to this. And the debt must simply be cleared. So we would like, for example, hospitals, particularly now when you've got load shedding. There could be somebody on life support, and the hospital does not have diesel. So we would like to look for investors who can come and, empower these critical entities to ensure that they've got security of power via solar. So it's an investment that we have to do, but we have to address certain issues around that industry. The ZESA tariff is direct and significant implications for an investor. Because if you put your power plant and you connect onto the ZESA grid, ZESA must have the capacity to pay the investor. So we need to put this issue on the agenda, firmly on the agenda, and we've already started discussions in the ministry to say, okay, let's put the current framework onto the floor. Let's start this discussion afresh. It's important that our tariff must be cost reflective. There are also other issues to say. How do we treat the poor from a tariff point of view? And so we would like to begin a brand new discussion around that. The debt, the 1.2 billion is RTGS. And depending on where the rate is, it will be 500, 600 million US dollars. It's still frightening. I can see you're all frightened. It's very reason.
Are you frightened?
Breakdown of the debt, roughly you can just make it 50-50. The debt to HCB and ESCOM. Yes. But we are currently looking at a variety of possibilities to extinguish that debt. Chinogadzirika chinichi. But if you are skinning a live snake, I think it's very difficult to do it on your own. because I've been advised that you start from the tail. Now, if it's a corporate, let me write you. You need Professor Mugira to be holding his mouth. So that doesn't bite, is it? And then you skin it. She not got the okay? I think that was from.
Is that agreeing?
But you see, we must work hard. We must have unity of purpose. We must be serious. We must not try to sabotage efforts that are being made. Because when power goes, does not know what party you belong to. It doesn't. Affects everyone, including the Minister of Energy. There's no power in my house. That's the truth. This is why I'm saying it's not a subject matter. Yeah. If, you know, I wish I could say to Zesa, you know, skip my house. I know that all of you are uncomfortable. It's right that you should be uncomfortable, but it's what you do with the discomfort.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't think any one of us here was born as a minister or a reporter. Okay. When the ghetto, it was very uncomfortable. And so discomfort propels you, and it's natural to come out of the discomfort. Now, if we are happy and we think that by shouting, as some people do, or insulting others, that is going to make Zesa come. Nothing like that is going to happen. And nobody from any country is going to come and donate power and say, okay, I'm giving you $500 million. Can you make your power? Nothing. It's us here who must make it. Okay. The dispute with Zambia, there was supposed to be a Council of Ministers this coming Friday, which has been postponed. But I don't think it's I wouldn't term it a dispute. I think we're ongoing discussions. And I have no doubt we work so amicably with our Zambian sisters and brothers. And I have no doubt that all these matters will be resolved. Our officials, as we speak, are in Kariba. Discussing